point. All right. Okay. We are now live. So I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Park District of Highland Park on Tuesday, April 27, 2021. I have a problem today. 2021 at 6:01 p.m. Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Here.
Commissioner Grossberg,
Here.
Commissioner Flor-Swieskopf,
Here.
Vice President Kaplan,
Here.
President Ruttenberg.
I am here. Thank you. Well, the first order of business will be in addition to the agenda. And we'd like to add that we received a notice of a public hearing regarding the construction of a new maintenance garage at the Bob O'Links Golf Course. Executive Director Romes, would you please provide an update?
Yes, sure. I did in fact forward that to the park board, and it was from the City of Highland Park Zoning Board of Appeals. And this is just a notice for us. The site is to our property, which is the wooded area at Fink Park. That wooded area of Fink Park is not accessible because it's across the.
I'm having trouble hearing Brian. Brian, is there something with your microphone?
I'm glad you called. Now you're still very faint, Brian. I'm glad you called that up, Cal. I was just about to, but I didn't want to be rude.
Is this any better?
Yes. Yes,
better.
it's just great.
Yes,
Oh,
thank
Well, Barney pretty much summarized what I re-summarized, and that is that we received a public notice from the Zoning Board of Appeals of the City of Highland Park regarding a proposed, basically an equipment storage station that is at the Bob O'Link Golf Club, and they are proposing this construction. It'll be adjacent to Fink Park, which is the Park District of Highland Park's property. It is on the other side of the river. It's really an inaccessible portion of Fink Park in a very wooded area. So staff believe this has very little effect on anything operationally from the Park District's perspective, but certainly wanted to just bring it to light to the Park Board and see if there's any questions or comments.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Did you say it will be in part of Fink Park or just adjacent to it?
Just adjacent to it.
Okay, thank you.
and remember, part of Fink Park is pretty much inaccessible. It's just providing an area for trees and nature. It's to the east of the river, stream, whatever we call it there. And I don't believe we have even a bridge that lets us get over there. And this would be helpful because maybe we can get access to that part of the property if we ever need it through that maintenance facility. And we received the notice because we're within, the appropriate distance. We're adjacent to it. And, I don't think staff saw any reason to object to the application that's going to be pending before the city. Anybody have any further? Hello, Jen. Anybody have any further thoughts or comments on this? Seems like none, Brian. Okay.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
And Jen has joined us, and Brian told me that Jen has been certified by Lake County as having won the election and being elected to the park board. And you will be sworn in on the May 11th meeting. Is that right, Brian?
That's correct.
Okay. Public comment. Anyone wishing to speak will need to use the raise hand function in Zoom to indicate that they would like to speak. The board secretary will call on registrants who have activated the raise hand feature in alphabetical order. Executive Director Romes, is there anyone from the public attending this meeting who wishes to speak and provide public comment?
So I have received no emails, and there are no attendees who have raised their hand. In fact, there are no registered attendees at the meeting. So it's just us. and no public comment.
Okay, thank you. Let me just put the phone over there so it won't disturb us. All right, thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda. There are 4 items on the consent agenda, including bills and payroll. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We'll give that one to Terry. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Brian, good. Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Grossberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Flor Swyskoff,
Yes.
Vice President Kaplan,
Yep.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Financial forecast treasurer's report, Director Peters to update.
Okay, good evening. I'll fix that. All right, let me get this up there. Okay, so we have on our screen our 2021 financial forecast and treasurer's report. So we just finished our first quarter that ended March 31st, and our first slide is our look at how our cash flows are looking from operations. We always monitor that, our 25% fund balance, that is our fund balance reserve policy per the board. This year, that's about $4.1 million. If we recall, our 2021 budgeted cash on hand for year-end should be about $12.2 million. Right now, with our results, our actual through the end of March, and then we know we've dropped another over $200,000 here in April for property taxes that came in, and we've also added a few other adjustments in here. But right now, we're projecting our cash on hand at year-end to be at over $13.5 million. So that looks really good compared to our reserve policy, and even really our budget had looked very well too, but we look good there on our cash flow projections. When we look at how operations are looking overall at March 31st, we can see that our operating expenses are well under what we had budgeted them at, and we can see that our operating revenue is coming in at a little bit more than what we had budgeted them to be. And so when we look at that overall, we are at over $800,000 above surplus at the end of March. The other item we want to look at, which is really good news too, is when we compare where we are at the end of March to a 3-year average of pre-COVID times, which are 2017 through 2019, we're actually only about $77,000 off the mark of where we would be in a regular year. Our biggest difference here in expenses is payroll, and we'll look at that a little bit more closely in a few minutes. And we also want to remember that January started off with us having COVID mitigation efforts in effect, so that also saved on expenses. And basically, this is looking very good. When we look at everything on a fund by fund basis, if we focus on the general fund first, we see the same thing. We see expenses are coming in low compared to where we had budgeted them at. Again, there's payroll in here. As far as revenues, we are spot on. So what that does for the general fund, it puts us at a surplus over what we had budgeted to be, where we had budgeted to be, at about $280,000. When we go over and look at the recreation fund, then we see the same thing. Again, our actual expenses are far less than what we had budgeted them to be. Again, there's a lot of payroll in here. And then our revenues are trending better than where we expected them to be. And that's due to a couple of specific programs. Golf and tennis are doing excellent as of March 31st. And so what that does for us at the rec fund is puts us at about $500,000 over with surplus than where we had originally budgeted ourselves to be for the end of first quarter. If we look at our special rec fund, we're trending right where we thought we should be, For debt service, same thing, we're right on track there. As far as the capital fund, same thing with the revenue that we've been talking about. We have that $200,000 of OSLID grant monies in the bank, but until we use them, they sit in deferred revenue, and as we use them, they come over into revenue. So eventually we'll see that $200,000 hit the revenue. It's a timing difference, as well as our capital outlays. We can see we are below budget here on what we had budgeted as far as capital expenditures at the end of March 31st. That is due to some projects being delayed a little bit at the beginning of the year, and then also delays in billing by the contractor. So that puts us at about $65,000 better than where we thought we'd be. But again, we anticipate that to really just be a timing difference going forward. If we look at payroll and where we are, the gold line is our actual payroll, the green is budgeted. So we are, again, under budget in payroll to the tune of about $150,000. We know, again, at the beginning of the year, we had COVID mitigation efforts, and so we definitely had reduced payroll due to that. And then we also have several positions that are unfilled that we were anticipating maybe having had been filled by March 31st. But that's where we look as far as payroll year to date. If we want to look at it just by month, we can see that for the month, we are also significantly under budget to the tune of about $55,000 for the month of March. And again, we have some open positions there that we had budgeted for that have not come to fruition as of March 31st. And so in conclusion, recall that in January of 2021, the Park District programs and facilities were either partially closed or canceled due to COVID mitigation efforts. Since then, the Park District was able to significantly adjust expenses, especially payroll, at about $148,000 below budget, which has helped result in over $800,000 of surplus versus where our budget says we should be. Additionally, vaccinations are steadily increasing. Positivity rates and hospitalizations are leveling or decreasing. And we're seeing significant increases in both our spring and summer registrations. Furthermore, when we compare 2021 actuals versus the 2017 through 2019 averages, we're only about $77,000 off the pre-COVID bottom line for the same time period of those 3 years. We continue to receive unbudgeted financial support, such as the over $200,000 of additional property taxes received, which will be reflected in the April financials. Finally, for the period ended March 31st, 2021, indoor tennis has a surplus of over $250,000, and golf is well over $100,000 better off than where we had budgeted them to be. So all of this places the Park District in a very favorable financial position at March 31st. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. That was a very, very uplifting report. Cal, we'll start with you if you have any questions or comments.
I forgot to ask this question when we met and talked about this at the Finance Committee, but that $77,000 figure that you mentioned over the pre-COVID average, is that a net number or is that revenue?
That's a net number.
Okay.
So it's overall bottom line.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Barney. This is very positive, and thank you for the presentation.
Oh, sure.
Terry?
A couple of things. First of all, I really appreciate the bouncing figures in your presentation. I want to point out to you that I enjoyed watching them fall gracefully from the sky. That was nice. In Brian Rome's last, on Fridays he does that report that we get in our email that kind of goes facility by facility and things like that, and talks about very specific details, financial details of the different programs. A couple of times he compared them to 2019. And so I was very interested to read that because I think it addresses more maybe what Cal is talking about in terms of seeing what the revenue difference is between now and then, as well as, on the other side of the ledger as well. And I would be more and more interested in seeing that. I saw that you conglomerated 2017 to 2019 on your budgeting number, but it would be interesting to me, and I don't know how the other board members feel, about just seeing where we are, just very apples to apples with 2019. So we just get a clear picture, because there's some magic in budgeting that, that could be explained in certain ways. if I just saw, we made, we brought in $10 million in fees in 2019, and we're bringing in 2 million this year. That tells me something different than a pure budget number. So that's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, you're right. We don't, if we look at this here, we do break out pure revenue and pure expense compared to what our actual revenue is and our actual expense. But right, we don't break it out for just a standalone 2019, but we can certainly do that.
I don't know if the finance committee is interested in that, but I would be interested if it wasn't too much work to just see apples to apples
Okay.
as things start to open up.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. Lori?
Nope, I too like the bouncing, the entrance of the numbers, if we're taking note on that. And just really, really nice how you simplified it and made it very easy with the bullet points to see what's going on.
Thank you.
Ryan?
Just another great job, Marilyn.
Thanks.
No, I think I echo that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So we'll go to unfinished, I was off mute, good. Unfinished business, Hidden Creek Aqua Park update, Director Carr.
Sure. Can everybody see the screen and hear me okay?
We can hear you, but don't see the screen yet.
Okay. How about now?
Yes.
Great. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have bouncy things, but I've taken a note
Oh, that's a problem.
for future. I have some graphics, they're just not as cool as the bouncy, so I've taken note though.
Wait,
Well, good
Wait,
evening. everyone.
before you start, Terry, and if you want bouncy, pick up your computer and just move it up and down.
okay.
Good evening. I think, with today's weather, at least the early part of today, the update to the Aqua Park opening is certainly appropriate. And as you might recall, we talked back in December at the last board meeting in December, and we noted that our timeline for kind of determining Hidden Creek and the plans would really be dictated by April 1st. And that those guidelines that are in place as of April 1st would help us dictate our opening operation plan. So the plan you're going to see today is the aquatics team plan. It's been developed with the state guidelines as our guiding principles. PDERMA and our safety coordinator has helped us with the interpretation of those guidelines. We've also discussed our plans with the IPRA Aquatics Roundtable and some of our neighboring districts. The plan is certainly very fluid. It may evolve throughout the year as either guidelines do change or as staff assess operations in real time and better understand community tolerances within these guidelines. So I thought I'd first start by just giving everyone a high-level overview of what the guidelines are right now from the Illinois Department of Public Health. The maximum capacity for Hidden Creek is set at 50% of its normal capacity. Now, the normal capacity for Hidden Creek is 1,000 bathers. However, when it comes to guidelines, group sizes play a much bigger impact at Hidden Creek, and it does at all aqua parks. So group sizes can be no larger than 50 people. And within those groups, social distancing guidelines must be in place. And the groups have to have 30 feet of distance built into the distance between the groups at all times. So groups at Hidden Creek for open swimming is going to be defined as groups on the deck. And because these groups and the placements of the groups on the deck, we're looking at actually a maximum capacity at one time as 100 bathers instead of that 1,000 full capacity, or even 500, which would be 50% capacity. You will notice that due to the nature of the activity being in water, that face coverings are not going to be required while in the pool or going to and from water features. When seated, members of the same household don't need to be masked, and our staff would be required to wear face coverings at all times unless they're on the stand or they're in the water. And how this impacts operations, I thought, having this kind of overhead shot would be the best way to depict that impact. So due to the restrictions, we do have obviously that limited capacity I was talking about. This is going to be managed through a reservation system. So reservations are going to be strongly encouraged to guarantee your spot. They're going to be for a 2-hour time block visit to Hidden Creek. They can be made up to 3 days in advance and up to 15 minutes before the start of the reservation time. And at that time, that 15 minutes before the reservation time starts, then we would close the reservation system and allow any open spots that were left available to the public through a walk-up system. So due to the group sizing maximums of 50, we would need to zone Hidden Creek. And what that means, and it's depicted on this picture down here, is that these yellow lines that you see would help us be in a zone of 1, where my cursor is, or 2, where my cursor is here. And then between the yellow lines would be our 30-foot buffer. It's important to know that the zoning is specific to the pool deck and not the water or play area. So if I was in, let's say this is zone 1, and I'm sitting here with my child, and I wanted to go over to the splash pad area, I could do that. I would just be then required, as soon as I finish that activity, I go back to my zone and my seat. The layout that you see here, which was obviously from a pre-COVID year, has approximately 225 to 250 chairs. So what we would be doing is placing about 60 to 70 chairs per zone 1 and in zone 2. And we would be potting people, similar to how they do at restaurants, in groups of 2s and 4s. And we'd be stationing them 6 foot apart. So best example I could give in this depiction is going to be like right here. This would be maybe a pot of 4 here and then a pot of 4 here, and we'd separate them to be 6 foot apart. The red marks that you see on this also identify entering and exiting areas in which you would have to wear a mask. So the red mark here is the entry point from the bathhouse. So you've entered the park from the bathhouse, and you have to wear a mask up until this point, and then you can take your mask off once you're in your seat and in the water areas. And let's say you needed to go to the restroom. At this point, you would then be putting your mask back on before you enter the restroom area, or you go to our customer service area. It's at that point you can no longer interact with the water activity, so you'd be required to wear the mask. The IDPH also requires us to have distancing guidelines in place while waiting in line for features, such as our slides and diving board. So here on our tower slide, we would have to have 6 foot markers. And we would have to also provide a staff person to help manage this line. So we would have our traditional person up top here, giving the cue for the participant to go down the slide, but we would also be having a person manage this line to make sure people are always 6 foot apart. Our splash pad area I mentioned earlier, that would have a limit of 20 people at one time. And we also will not be offering concessions this year. This was due in large part to the fact that our concessions request for proposal came back with a no response. Again, that's something that we've heard from other districts that has occurred, mostly due to the limited capacities. Concession vendors are not interested in taking the chance of going to an aqua park with limited capacities. So instead, we are going to allow patrons to bring in food and beverage, and we will do cooler checks similar to what we do at the beach. We're also going to be bringing in vending machines, and we are looking into some other options like food trucks for food options. Lastly, we certainly know that communication on this is going to be very key. The summer brochure is scheduled to be released next week. It's going to have a lot of this information in it. Our communication department, of course, is going to be doing email and social media campaigns to get the message out there. Our plan is also to have banners placed at the corner of Central and Frederickson, as well as off of Frederickson, where you enter the park, to clearly state that the water park is open and that reservations are strongly encouraged. We're going to have a sandwich board at the entry that states if we're at capacity. So if we already know that we're full with reservations, we can place that on the board so that people that are coming maybe for a walk-in will already know that we're full. Similar to when we rolled out the reservation system at the rec center, staff will assist patrons with the reservation system. The goal is certainly to get them to be self-sufficient, and we do that through like a help desk style type of approach with our with our registration team. But our registration team did work very closely with the people. And if they really just couldn't make the reservation, we didn't want to make that the barrier to getting in. So we helped set it up and made the reservation for them and gave them a tutorial for the next time. Here is the planned schedule based off of our operational guidelines, our traditional Memorial Day through Labor Day season. And you'll notice our weekday schedule states during summer break. So during those shoulder season, when school's in session, we wouldn't be open from the 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. slot during the weekday. For the entirety of the summer, though, we will have our morning lap swim. This is going to be 1 hour reservation. And per our guidelines, we will be allowed to have 2 lap swimmers per lane. Our aquafit classes would be able to come back, and our internal camps would take the time blocks from 10 to 2 during the weekdays. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to accommodate external camps this year. Our open swim during the weekday, during the summer, would be in 2 time blocks in the afternoon and evening. And then we would incorporate an evening lap swim time before we close. We do know that we do get, traditionally a later swim crowd, typically the commuters that want to use Hidden Creek in the evening. We do have an after hours rental this year with the Highland Park Aquatics Club. That's new for Hidden Creek, but certainly not new to the Park District. We've worked with HPAC in the past through affiliate agreements, as well as renting space at the rec center. They're currently renting space at the rec center right now. And they have already expressed to us they are going to continue to need space as the school, high school right now is not allowing outside groups. On weekends, we would again have our morning lap swim time. We'll be offering rental party reservations from 10 to 12. Certainly something we've noticed as we started to open up more and more facilities is that there's a big interest in rentals. We believe certainly people are looking for environments to host small gatherings outside their homes to celebrate life events, and they feel comfortable doing so in a private, controlled environment. You add to this that Hidden Creek was already a very heavily used destination for pool parties, in particular at that late morning time slot on weekends. So we thought it was something we certainly should offer. If for some reason we wouldn't get a party, there's usually going to be 2 parties in that time block. But if we wouldn't get a party, we could open up an open swim time block for that, and we wouldn't be doing these parties also on holidays. Open swim would then start at noon, and there'd be 3 time blocks offered. We do also offer an after hours private facility rental. That's something traditionally that we have done. And if we wouldn't get one of those, we just would close the pool at its normal 7 p.m. As far as our pricing, our current pricing plans won't look that much different than what we talked about in December. And the rec center aquatic members that are already current members would automatically be enrolled in this pass at no charge. There would be a limit of 150 of these lap swim passes sold, and we wouldn't be offering a day pass option at Hidden Creek, but we still would offer a day pass option at the rec center for lap swim. For open swim, we would be offering the day pass option. In addition, after considering the no membership option and the cost of families that might want to visit Hidden Creek multiple times in a year, we've developed what's called a summer family fun pass. It's basically a 10 visit punch pass at a lower cost option per visit for those families that do want to visit the park multiple times throughout the year. Based off of our pricing plan and guidelines, we've started to do a little bit of modeling on what revenue might look like. During that early modeling, we certainly look at taking into account weather cancellations. And right now it looks like we would meet the budgeted revenues for fees and charges. We won't have concessions, so that's a $7,000 expected revenue loss. But we would be able to make up with that with our HPAC rental, which was something that wasn't budgeted. And the only area we won't recover on planned budget revenue is going to be those external camps I talked about. That's traditionally about a $20,000 budgeted revenue area for us. And finally, to kind of wrap up, I mentioned the plan will be fluid, influenced by guidelines. If the bridge plan that we hope we get to at some point soon, or if phase 5 allows us to consider membership, we may be able to implement those with mid-season or late season membership passes. That's something that we've done in the past, even pre-COVID, is a late season membership. the dates that I list there are kind of more or less deadlines that we would have to make a decision by to try to implement some type of membership path. So that's my summary. Certainly happy to field any questions if anyone has any.
No, that was very comprehensive. Thank you. Let's see if there's any questions. Cal, do you have any questions?
Answered all my questions. Thank you.
All right, Terry?
The only question I had was about communication. I know you mentioned it. This is going to be in the brochure and you're going to start pushing things out. I've had several people reach out to me about it. Should I say something now about what I just heard or should I wait?
I think it's fine to share everything now, and that the brochure, I believe, is scheduled to go May 5th. If I think that's correct, Brian and Liz, right?
That's correct. May 5th, next Wednesday, but this is a live meeting, so it is public.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, good. Lori?
Yeah, I did have one question. How are we going to accommodate like the low income residents that maybe, you know, would get assistance otherwise?
Yeah. So right now, the membership option isn't available. They could, for a pass, and the family fund pass, I think, is an option to apply through GIA for our grant assistance program, because we do offer that on passes. So that's something that we certainly can accommodate.
Well, so what I would suggest is considering reaching out to those families who have received some kind of help with the Aqua Park, or families in general, and just let them know that it's available at a discounted rate if they apply.
Yeah, that's great. We will do that for sure.
Won't that be in the brochure? Won't there be-
It's always in the brochure, but we can specifically reach out to those who have used our scholarship program and let them know that they're eligible for the water park as well. But of course, yes, the information is always in the brochure.
Because my concern would be that these families may be looking for something to do this summer. Let's say they're not going to camp because there's limited spots and just, financial strain still from the pandemic. Just let them know that it's available. Whether they use it or not is, obviously up to them, but it's always good to make it available.
Great point. Yeah, we definitely will.
Thank you. Brian?
I've got a couple questions. Mitch, it looked like you had worked in 15-minute increments to clean between groups.
Correct.
Is that enough time?
Yeah, so we'll
Clear it
have,
out, clean it, and let the next group in?
yeah, so we'll have, with the 100 people in the deck chairs, obviously we'll be doing lots of cleaning throughout. Our focus when people leave will be focusing on the surfaces that they were just on, so the deck chairs. But throughout the entirety of that 2-hour time block, we're going to have staff similar to like the rec center that are spot cleaning high touch areas, so that we can concentrate really on the areas that the patrons are sitting in for that 15 minutes.
And did you say that external camps were a $20,000 loss?
Yes, that's traditionally what an external camps would bring to Hidden Creek in a pre-COVID year.
And are we budgeted to take a loss or a gain on the property this year?
The budget was for a $143,000 loss.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. I just wanted to ask a question about the splash pad, where you said it would be limited to 20 people. So is there going to be a staff person there who's going to be monitoring the number of people in there?
Yeah, we traditionally have a lifeguard as part of the rotation at the gate, making sure that people are abiding by the guidelines and also that the gate is always properly closed. So they'll be keeping an active count. And it's more for the people that are actually interacting. If a parent is, let's say, off to the side and not interacting with the elements, it's really, we took into account how to keep people 6 foot apart, but still allowing them to interact with all the elements. And we came up with a number of 20.
So that would be 20, I'll call it participants, not just the parents who are keeping an eye on their kids, I assume.
Right. Yep, it'll be a little bit of a management of, if there's a parent off to the side, we wouldn't count them.
Yeah, okay, that was my question. And my other question, we have traditionally suffered a loss on the operation of the park, the aqua park. Am I correct, Brian?
Traditionally, there are years where we come close to breaking even if we have a really nice, warm, sunny summer. So it's very weather dependent. So there's been some where I think we've had even a net revenue, but very few.
Yeah, so that well, it might be a little bit bigger this year because of COVID. To answer the question that Brian asked, it's not unexpected that we would have a net loss on this. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Mitch. And we'll turn to new business. The first item of new business is the approval of Resolution 2021-03, a declaration honoring Lori Flores Weisskopf, Executive Director, Rome's to present.
Yes. So, as we all know, tonight is Lori's last park board meeting after serving for 10 years with the Park District of Highland Park. So we have before you this evening a resolution, which is a declaration honoring your 10 years of service, and I have it right here. It'd be my pleasure to read this declaration aloud for the benefit of all those who are in attendance this evening. So this is a declaration honoring Lori Flores Weisskopf for her contributions to the Park District of Highland Park while serving as Park Board Commissioner from May 2011 through April 2021. Whereas the Park District of Highland Park Board of Commissioners wishes to recognize one of its most dedicated and distinguished board members serving for 10 years as a volunteer. Whereas Lori Flores Weisskopf's service to the Park District of Highland Park spanned a period of growth and development for the Park District, including the renovations of Rosewood Beach, Deer Creek Racquet Club, Recreation Center of Highland Park, and Sunset Valley Golf Club. Construction of a new Parks and Golf Operations Center, creation of the Parks Foundation of Highland Park, added amenities at Heller Nature Center, acquisition, naming, and transformation of the Preserve of Highland Park, added amenities at Heller Nature Center, as well as in our parks, most notably the playground renovations at Kennedy Park, Danny Kniff Park, and most recently Sunset Woods Park, along with accomplishments which vastly enriched recreation opportunities for the residents of the Park District of Highland Park. Whereas during Lori Flores Weisskopf's term on the Park Board, the Park District of Highland Park adopted its 10-year master plan, Greenprint 2024, successfully completed its 2012 through 2016 strategic plan and implemented 2016 through 2020 strategic plan, served as a board liaison to several project committees, adopted emergency resolutions and measures to safely and successfully carry the Park District throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, all while keeping residents' taxes in check, balancing the Park District budget, adopting a comprehensive fund balance policy, and decreasing the district's reliance on taxpayer funding. And whereas Lori Flores Weisskopf was in office, the Park District of Highland Park expanded its programming and community services. Its commitment to diversity and inclusion through the SMILE program and its support of NSSRA created record-breaking attendance at community-wide events, including Martin Luther King Day of Service, Fourth Fest, Autumn Fest, and numerous Halloween events. Whereas during Lori Flores Weisskopf's tenure, the Park District of Highland Park was recognized as a distinguished accredited agency by IPRA IAPD and won numerous awards, including IPRA Facility of the Year Award for Rosewood Beach and Sunset Valley Golf Club, and Program of the Year for Park School. Also, the American Institute of Architects Distinguished Building Award for Rosewood Beach, Chicago Building Congress Merit Award for Rosewood Beach, American Shore and Beach Preservation Best Restored Beach Award for Rosewood Beach, United States Tennis Association Facility of the Year for Deer Creek Racquet Club, Lake County Stormwater Management Award for Skokie Riverwoods, and 10 Government Finance Officer Association Certificates of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting. And whereas Lori Flores Weisskopf's service as Park Board Commissioner included hundreds of hours attending numerous Park Board meetings and public hearings to improve the delivery of recreation services and facilities, and leaves an indelible mark on the community. Now, therefore, it be declared that the Park District of Highland Park Board of Commissioners honors the dedicated service of Lori Flores Weisskopf to the Park District of Highland Park and her community. So Lori, this is upon the board tonight, and the only thing not in your declaration that is duly noted, I think, is that we all of us on the inside know that you are the best Disney character, of course, Snow White. And there are many memorable occasions where you really brought the wow factor for those fathers and daughters. So we thank you for those and many other ways that you serve the community. Barney, you're muted. Sorry.
Thank you for reading that, Brian. I muted because I didn't want people to hear my sobs as you were reading it for Lori. But is there a motion to approve the resolution 2021-03, a declaration honoring Lori Flores Weisskopf?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Grossberg.
Yes.
I'm going to include you, Lori. Commissioner Flores Weisskopf.
Heck, yeah.
Vice President Kaplan
Yep.
and President Ruttenberg.
Before I vote, let me read this, please. Today is the end of one chapter in the life of the Park District. The growth of the district into a top tier of the prestigious park districts in our state is due in no small measure to the contributions and efforts of Lori Flores Weisskopf. The resolution that Brian read just does not begin to tell the whole story of how we benefit from her service. I'm glad that Brian brought in Snow White. I was trying to figure out a way of bringing that up, and I think we're going to have to retire the character. Thank you, Lori. I vote aye. The motion is carried, and we have approved the resolution. Lori?
Thank you. That's very nice. That was, wow, that was very nice. It's, oh, is this where I speak or you're gonna do that at the end?
No, this would be a good time. Yeah, wait, you have to do the raise your hand function.
Oh, I'm like as techie as Cal, so I'm gonna go like this. Well, gosh, that was so very nice. Thank you for that. Just to kind of hear and kind of, travel back in time, so to speak. I mean, obviously I didn't do those things by myself. I just took part in it. Worked with the other commissioners and all the staff, and it's probably not gonna, I've seen about this, and it's probably not gonna hit me for several weeks, because I always have that feeling, I'm sure you guys know it, like, don't we have a meeting right about now? You have that feeling when you go too long, when we cancel a meeting. But I have over the years seen many commissioners and staff people come and go, and it's bittersweet. It has been just a privilege to be an elected official, and especially to our park district. And it's always been so enjoyable because I believe so much in our programming, in our facilities that are top notch, and especially the staff. And long before I was a commissioner, I had that same interaction, and so did my children. So I know what our residents get day in and day out. Everything from Heller to the rec center to Hidden Creek to Sunset Valley Golf Club now. Did I say Deer Creek, Sunset Valley? I just everyone, and especially the front office, just everyone being so friendly. I always enjoyed, prior to COVID, stopping in and saying hello and finding out what everyone was up to. Time out Ohio State, right, Mitch? So I look very forward to seeing Greenprint unfold and updates to it. And I wish the board the very best of luck. And also I welcome Jen, to the board as a good young family representative, which is something I started in, and now my baby's 14. So, it's time for new and fresh ideas, and I'm sure you'll bring that. And to Barney, oh no, you guys. I thank you for your friendship, which has grown over the years. And that's a very special part. And I hope that will continue outside of the board, and just, having someone to bounce ideas off of, and someone who bounced them off of me too. I always appreciated that. And so that's from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so very much. And I will continue to be an engaged and active volunteer and participant in our city. Right now, I'm not sure if I am going to pursue a housing commission position or a human relations. So we'll see kind of how, what's the better fit at this point, but I will continue to be involved in the city. And I just thank you all so very, very much. And Brian, I do, as with the authority that I've left, I do need you to add the Snow White. I want you to scratch that whole thing, and Snow White should be listed. I really enjoyed that. It was so fun for me. I love dressing up, and I love seeing the fathers and daughters get dressed up and just have a really special night. It was, took me back to when, my kids were little, and it really is such a special, unique thing that we offer, along with all the other programming like 4th of July. And, the good thing about the Park District is, it's everywhere. So I'll think of it, and I'll see signs, and just, it's everywhere. So thank you again so very much. Good luck.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Jen, you're going to have to consider Snow White job now. You didn't know that. You didn't know that came with the office, did you?
I'm thinking Cinderella.
You might be more of a Cinderella.
Yeah,
I'm
probably-
hoping you can hand over that little. Do we have a meeting right now? Because you're still on another call. So my apologies for being a few minutes late.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lori. Well, from that, which was very nice, we go to Parks Foundation,
Which would not be nice.
which is a different ilk.
Okay. Thanks for that awkward transfer. Okay. Anywho, the big news that came out of actually the last meeting was the successful transfer of power. I mean, this was like, we've had basically one president, like George Washington of our foundation. Bob Bernstein has been there. He's been a stalwart advocate for everything that they've tried to do there. And, it wasn't fair that he had to, he had so much of that on him all the time. So we've had a very successful turnover of some people just rotating to just being regular board members. Other people have resigned, but still want to become active. So Rafael Labrador is going to take over some of the big jobs that are going on, but we have other people that are stepping up, and I can't say enough great things about that board. I've been saying it now monthly at these meetings, and we're getting new, just great people to run our finance, our governance, our fundraising, our marketing. So they're in really good hands right now. So great job there. Some things that did get talked about, there's they talked about the opening of the youth golf center, and the outing on May 24th is sold out. So we're hoping that everybody will come to the ribbon cutting for that. That's a Monday. So write a note to your bosses now. There's Fitness in the Park that's going on right now. The big information that came was some other things. There's a new board manual that includes sections on background, legal, financial, board of directors, programs, and strategic planning that everybody's been asked to read and sign. We do now have a Kids Helping Kids student board at Highland Park High School, which includes 6 new participants. They're planning a mid-May restaurant week bingo fundraiser in which participants go to local restaurants and receive a bingo stamp or sticker that can win prizes. And the foundation receive a percentage of those proceeds. There was talk about the Firecracker 5K and what we're going to try to do both as a board and as a foundation with that. And they are still interviewing college students for unpaid summer internship positions that we're going to be opening up as a foundation. So we are also creating a summer brochure and creating a page for new Highland Park residents as like a welcoming kit. So tons of great stuff happening. When the world starts opening up a little bit more, I expect big, big things from our foundation. Brian, did I miss anything?
No, I think you did very well, and we're actually planning on having our past and future current presidents of the foundation come to a future meeting and give an update as well to talk about some of the exciting things that are coming up. So that was great. Thank you.
That's great. Good. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
We'll go to the director's report. Executive Director Romes to present special summer events update.
Yes, and before I get to summer, even though it does feel like summer outside today, I just want to mention a few spring events that we still have for the month of May before our next park board meeting. As I've mentioned in the past, our spring programs are doing very well. We have 3 events coming up. We actually are bringing back our spring ice show, which is very exciting. That's Friday, May 14th and Saturday, May 15th. This year's show is Skate U. There's going to be 48 skaters, 14 soloists, and 2 showcase teams performing. And of course, there are guidelines in place, but we are allowed to sell about 104 tickets per show. So it's only open to family of the participants of the show, and each skater is permitted to have 2 spectators per show. So unfortunately, the park board and myself won't be able to attend the show this year, but certainly it'll be a great event for those skaters and for their families. Also, Terry already mentioned the Youth Golf Development Center grand opening and outing. That is on Monday, May 24th. As he mentioned, it is sold out. We have quite a bit of sponsors for that event. We are very excited for that day. And lastly, our athletics team is working up a Father's Day softball tournament for 16-inch. So all those 16-inchers out there who still remain and still like to play with the big softball, that's going to be the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before Father's Day, so you get to relax on actual Father's Day. So softball is one of the low-risk sports that we're able to provide, so they're going to give that a try. Now I want to kind of talk about summer, and we've mentioned this before. There will be a press release going out in the next week regarding 4th of July. Unfortunately, because of the COVID restrictions, the big events that we are used to, the parade and Fourth Fest and the fireworks, those are all going to be either postponed or canceled. So I know the city is going to announce some of their plans that they have for fireworks over Labor Day weekend. The Park District, we're still going to try and do as many small group activities and find ways for people to enjoy the weekend and enjoy the summer. We'll do this all summer, but specifically that weekend, we are doing our Firecracker baseball tournament. That'll be over July 1st through 4th for the 9U through 13U. It's been a great tradition at the Park District. We're also going to continue our 5K race. That is going to be virtual. The foundation will be helping out with that. And then on July 3rd in the morning, we're going to have some family activities. There'll be some family fitness classes, some boot camp, have a fun edge to that, different prizes and activities for that morning. And then in the evening, there will be a drive-in movie. We'll be showing The Sandlot. On July 4th, we'll have all of our facilities that are going to be open on July 4th. We'll have some type of a special. Few examples. If you go to River's Edge Mini Golf Course, it'll be $4 in celebration of the 4th, obviously. Then at Sunset Valley, a foursome will be $40 after 4 p.m. And then we will have some virtual fireworks, and you'll be able to watch those virtual fireworks at Hidden Creek Aqua Park. So it's our kind of watch and float and watch the fireworks, as it'll be broadcast on a big screen. And then finally, we have a variety of tennis tournaments. Again, another low risk sport. So we have a lot of tournaments for men, women, and singles and children over the course of that week. So we are excited for what we can do, and we know people are going to be excited to be outside and be at our different facilities. So that is all I have to report. Any questions?
That's an awful lot. Thank you. Any questions? No. Board comments. Is there any member of the board, Jen, who would like to make a comment to anything that we're doing as a park district or that you've heard tonight? Hearing none. Hearing none, open to the public to address the board. If anyone wishes to address the board, please use the raise hand function in Zoom to indicate you would like to speak. The board president or the board secretary will call on attendees who have activated the raise hand feature in alphabetical order. Executive Director Romes, is there anyone from the public attending this meeting who wishes to address the board?
Councilman Bloomberg.
Thank you. As you are all probably aware, last night the city council did approve the gate that you will be installing at Park Avenue Beach. And I wanted to express my appreciation for your patience as we work through all of the issues that we did work through, and also for your cooperation meeting with Mayor Rotary and myself and the city manager to work everything out. And I think it offered an opportunity for the city to express to the Park District some of the concerns that we've heard from residents about beach access. And I want to thank Executive Director Romes for his response and absorbing a lot of those issues and understanding that. And for myself specifically, I very much appreciated the responses that you provided and the interaction with the park board. The fact that the park board is addressing the barge and the boat launch and has retained Lakota, to me, is a sign of commitment and really a very exciting view towards the future chapters of this beach that has been so complicated and difficult to deal with. Obviously, the city has to retain ownership because of the water plant, but the Park District really understands issues of recreation and management of that natural resource. So I just wanted to express those things to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you for your assistance in getting our issues taken care of. We appreciated that. We will not be going into closed session unless any member of the board wishes for us to do so. Hearing none, we are at the point where I will ask for a motion to adjourn, and I think it's appropriate that Lori Flores Weisskopf makes the motion to adjourn this meeting. After she takes it off mute.
I make a motion to end this meeting.
Is
I've
there
never
a,
made a motion. I've never had the chance. It's usually, you know, I just kind of sit back and because I figure so everyone doesn't go at once. I was just kind of wait. So I don't. Is that how you do it? I've never had to.
well, that was good. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Lori, once again, thank you.
Thank
Jen,
you,
we
Ron.
look forward